Aye.
Okay, we are open. Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Finance Committee. It's Wednesday, May 17, 2023. Before we start, I'd like to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so tonight shouldn't be a long meeting, folks. We're going to start off. We have our town moderator, Mr. Les Dakin, here. He graciously came in to talk to us tonight about our upcoming annual town meeting on Monday, May 22nd, about the format and how he's going to present the Finance Committee. So Les, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Mr. Kelly.
We have 39 articles on the current warrant, and the last article is the soil bylaw amendment. So I expect we will have a lengthy meeting. But prior to that, I think it's long overdue that the Finance Committee gets their due recognition for each and every one of you who take all this time out of your individual vocations and livelihoods to serve the town in the cold winter months when I'm sitting by the wood stove and other people are going out to eat, and you do it all without compensation. So I'd like to read what my opening comments are going to be about the Finance Committee. So for those of you looking at home, during the winter months, there are no harder working town officials than the members that you see before you. They study the requests of the department heads, ask the tough questions with their duties to prepare the budget for the following year. It should also be noted, as mandated in our town charter, section 5, members shall, the word is in capital, shall. That means it's not optional. Serve without compensation, and shall not hold any other public office in the town or serve on any other board, committee, or commission of the town, except solely in advisory capacity. Further, the Finance Committee, again, shall have the authority to investigate all areas of town government. All records required for the conduct of such investigations shall be made to the committee. And accordingly, I have asked Dr. Michael Boucher, Chairman of the Finance Committee, to share with you an overview of their committee, their backgrounds, duties, and their commitment to achieving fair and just fiscal responsibility to you, the taxpayers of Acushnet. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Very nice. Yeah, it sounds excellent, Mr. Dakin, and I think we'll use this opportunity wisely. When I speak, I'll keep it short and sweet. So we're not going to turn it into like a State of the Union address or anything like that. Because like you said, we have a lot of articles to cover, and it's probably going to be like a 3-hour meeting more than likely. And you never know what's going to come up during the meeting. Residents are going to want to have their say, which is their right. So, like I said, I'll keep it short and sweet. It should be less than 5 minutes for sure.
But in my humble opinion, it's long overdue that the Finance Committee gets the recognition and appreciation for what you do. Thank you.
We appreciate that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. You're welcome to stay for the meeting if you'd like. So it's up to you. We're gonna cover a few things.
I'll stay for a
Okay.
while. Sure.
All right. Next up on our agenda is to go over any articles that we haven't completed and voted on. So we can have some discussion with that tonight and just take a vote on whatever else we need to. So we don't have to do this on the Monday, the day of the meeting, which we've done in the past. But I think that's kind of tough for a lot of us, because a lot of us are leaving from work, and, you know, we just want some time to get ready and take a deep breath before the meeting. So not having to worry about a meeting before a meeting, I think is in the best interest of our committee. So I don't have the articles that we haven't voted on yet. Kathy, do you have anything in front of you indicating which ones we have remaining?
Yeah, I don't know, excuse me, I don't know if they changed the numbers.
Was it in the email?
I just printed this.
Not in the attachment, but the email itself?
CPC,
I know it was I think it was mostly CPC, right?
And then
the
there was-
ambulance,
yeah,
and
EMS,
stormwater.
Stormwater is not on.
right, so that's gone.
All right, so let's
The ambulance or EMS, Kathy?
I don't say ambulance. 'Cause I think,
Because there was that shuffling, or trying to put the placeholder in for the ambulance.
yeah, maybe that was it. I think it was because you're waiting for town council.
Articles not yet is CPC ambulance.
It's the borrowing for the authorization for the borrowing for the ambulance, I think.
What number article was that?
It didn't have it in the email.
It was, $25.
25?
I have a copy of it, if you'd like to read it.
I think we have, I think we all have in front of us our articles.
Do you have an extra set that isn't? I've got this
I
old,
have
I
this right
think.
here.
I think this one's old.
I have
Oh,
the
so
last
on the
one.
copy, so the draft copy I have, there was actually there's no verbiage
Yeah,
with it. It just says ambulance. Article 25, it says ambulance, so I don't actually have you know, what's the content.
Yeah, mine cuts off at 24. Oh, there it is. I have it here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can
Okay, I
read
have
it
it.
for the board and the public.
All right, you want to do that?
It's to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, borrow, file for, accept, and expend grants and/or matching funds provided by grants, or otherwise provide a sum or sums of money not to exceed $610,000 to purchase and equip an advanced life support ALS ambulance for the Acushnet Fire EMS Department, or take any other action thereon or in relation thereto. Now, the reason it is so wide open as far as the various methodologies, this is to put us in line, in the queue, to order the ambulance. And we have an authorization to borrow there, but the intent is not to borrow in future years, because it's going to take 24 to 30 months to get the ambulance. So what we would be doing is, in the future, there would be an article to rescind this authorization and pay for the ambulance from available funds, which would be free cash.
Understood. Or grants, if we get them.
Mm-hmm.
Or grants if we get them.
So
Or
basically,
state money.
Matching, yep.
yeah, so basically
Or
we're
federal.
securing the future purchase of this ambulance.
Correct, but if we do not have this authorization, we cannot join the queue.
And it's at this current price of
$610,000.
$610,000. So.
We
that's-
will lock in the price
I was
by
just gonna ask
joining,
that.
Yes.
as
that's my
soon as we
question.
get the VIN number.
Yep, that was my next question, and, you know, hopefully, well, inflation doesn't continue on this path that it's been, but regardless, as long as that's locked in, that's not gonna make a difference.
But the second ambulance is not far behind, right, if I remember
2
correctly?
years.
So we'll, in theory, be repeating this process in 2 years when hopefully we get the first one. And
Correct.
we'll have to put in for the second one.
So 2.5 and 4.5 years, we'd have 2 new ambulances.
Well, the amount of calls our ambulances
Yep.
participate in, this'll pay for itself probably pretty quickly, I would imagine.
And the money you get from the ambulance fund last year
Mhm.
alone would have paid for one by itself.
And it's an ALS, which you're gonna need, and that means you build it from the frame up.
Yeah, it's not like we're borrowing it, which is gonna,
Or
affect taxation.
you're buying a van and outfitting it.
No. Well, we hope we're not borrowing.
No, we hope not.
We hope not to be borrowing.
I'll make a motion.
That's
Second.
the intent.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on Article 25. Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No one's opposed, so Article 25 is recommended unanimously by the Finance Committee. All right, the next article would be the CPC article,
Article 22.
22, okay? Do you want to read that one, Mr. Kelly?
To see if the town will vote to appropriate or reserve from fiscal year 2024 Community Preservation Fund estimated annual revenues in the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for 2024 committee administrative expenses and required services to fund the recommended community preservation projects and other expenses from the funding sources in the amount and for the purposes specified for each project as set forth in the proposed project chart, with each item to be considered a special appropriation, and further that appropriations hereunder marked with an asterisk shall be considered a grant to a private entity listed, and to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into such grant agreements upon such terms and conditions that it deems in the best interest of the town, all as follows, or take any action thereon or in relation thereto. And just so the committee remembers, every year there is a minimum that you have to assign or appropriate or reserve of CPC funds, so that then you can further on down the road set the tax rate. This year, and it's a percentage for certain items. 13,000 is for the committee administrative expenses, 26,000 for historic resources reserved, 26,000 for community housing reserved, and 26,000 for open space reserved. For the reserves, it's 78,000. For the expenses, it's 13,000. Now we'll get to the project list. The list I just read is the action you take on the monies. Now, appropriating the proposed project can be more than that list because you have so much in unrestricted reserves under the CPC. The Recreation and Parks divisions are looking for $10,000 to survey plans engineering for Pope Park improvements. The Historic Commission is looking for $7,640 to repair and install fencing at the Long Plain Museum. The Historic Commission is looking for $269 for an installation of the flagpole at the Perry Hill School. The Historic Commission is looking for $1,400 to repair and replace the sign at the Parting Ways building. The CPC tabled the Historic Commission's request for $15,000 for repairs and flooring to the Perry Hill Church. So that cannot be acted on because it was tabled by the CPC. And from undesignated, the Buzzards Bay Coalition is looking for $85,000 to assist in purchase of the Acushnet Forest Conservation Project. And that has, to quickly answer a question that's been asked before, now it has, because of additional land that's been purchased by the Buzzards Bay Coalition, it has 3 access points to the larger land mass from the town of Acushnet. The total for CPC expenditures is $104,309.
Thank you for that, Mr. Kelly. Yeah, just referring back to the Buzzards Bay Coalition piece of this. We didn't approve this the last time because of the access issue. We didn't want to spend $85,000 on something where the residents weren't going to benefit from it. But I did have the opportunity to watch one of the recent Board of Selectmen meetings where the gentleman came and gave a presentation indicating that there were going to be, like you said, the 3 different access points. And I think he also discussed that they were going to create some trails within this parcel of land.
They bought, I believe it was over 50 acres to attach to this other acreage, so that it not only gives access, but it gives them opportunity to go further in the project.
Yeah, so knowing that, I think this is going to be a good project to fund through the CPC. So do we have a motion on Article 22?
Motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, being no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No one's opposed, so Article 22 is recommended unanimously by the Finance Committee. And I think the last one, there was one that was going to be tabled right at the end.
Stormwater.
Stormwater, that's getting stricken from the warrant, correct?
Stormwater did not make the
Didn't
warrant.
even make it to the warrant, okay.
Just let me brief the board. Moderator and I have had numerous discussions. We are meeting with town council tomorrow. Article 2 will be postponed indefinitely. Deficits will be taken care of through transfers. We'll be coming to this committee and the Board of Selectmen shortly on that. But it'll be transfers within the various departments. It's primarily legal costs. Articles 4 through 10 we're proposing as a consent agenda. Hopefully that'll be one vote. The other article that I think we've touched on briefly is Article 13, I believe, is the health insurance stabilization. We are going to ask that that be postponed until Article 32 is considered. If Article 32 does not pass, then we will go back to the Health Insurance Stabilization Fund. Article 32 is the authorization to spend $100,000 for entry into the Massachusetts Strategic Health Group. We were able to, as you know, Harvard Pilgrim was going to charge us 31% increase in health insurance. We negotiated originally with the Mass Strategic, they went to 16. When we proposed paying them the $100,000 into their trust up front as an entry, they were able to decrease our increase to 10%.
I guess,
And it also
Went to
is,
10.
I guess money talks, huh?
over the course of the first 2 years in the Massachusetts Strategic Health Group, paying that $100,000 will cost, advantage us for savings of $200,000. So if we spend $100,000, we get savings of $200,000, so it's a net to the town of $100,000.
I was gonna say that first year almost paid for itself.
So over the course of 2 years, we'll be doing well, and then hopefully they'll stay with the group. It's no plan design change. Harvard, a subsidiary of Harvard Pilgrim is the administrator. That only reaches 3 states, of course, in New England. We have a 50-state reach without having to go to a PPO through a secondary insurer. We have a number of concierge services that benefit both the employees and the retirees. For example, if you need infusions, one of the concierge services, the infusions can be administered in the home or your work at no additional cost to the patient. So you don't have to go into the doctor's office. We access for bulk prescription purchases, we go through a different provider, and we can also access the Canadian system. Or actually, it's English-speaking system. Canadian, Australian, New Zealand for savings. For retirees, it's more robust, and it's a better cost. It's lower cost than we have now for the wraparound policy. And retirees have access to both dental and vision plans, which they do not have now.
Excellent. That sounds like a win-win.
It's a lot better for both our retirees and our employees.
And the employees are versed on the plan, and they're on board?
The IAC supported it.
Okay.
We had some questions that people didn't understand mathematics, but besides that,
and the, I was gonna say patient, well, because employees will have direct access to their physician. Are they gonna need like referrals from their primary care physician?
No referral.
No
That's
referrals.
done, I think, right?
And there's, it starts to go into an app, and I'm not the greatest on those, and various technology, and you can actually access,
Your chart and stuff like that?
no, you can access referral to a second opinion. There is access within 72 hours for mental health for adolescents, which if I've been told, if it could take up to 3 months to get a referral.
Yes, that's actually a really big deal. I mean, this is, I mean, everything you said, and I actually saw the gentleman's presentation. It's definitely a win-win, and you know, patient care has become so complicated over the last several years. I mean, I've seen it myself firsthand, and not having to go through the whole referral process through your primary takes out a lot of hassle. So it's much better for the patient, or employee in this case. So I definitely think it's a no-brainer.
And they also, their retiree services, they deal with the retiree direct. They will deal with the retiree as far as going through if they're having problems getting a prescription approved, if they're having problems with any kind of various service. Now our retirees call here, we call the insurer, we go through maybe 2 or 3 calls to the insurer and then get back to the retiree. They have a whole part of this Mass Strategic Health Group dedicated to the retirees, and once the retiree calls, they keep following up all the way through with every issue that the retiree needs to get their services.
That's great. You know, especially for the retirees who are, you know, for the most part, probably on some fixed incomes, and to see a reduction in their monthly bill, that's a big deal. And getting access to, like you said, dental and vision.
And if they buy prescriptions in bulk, you know, because they're buying them every 3 months, to have access to the other parts of the English-speaking world where you're looking at costs that could be as low as 25% of what we're paying.
It can be significantly less through Canada.
Any other articles that weren't covered before? Article 37 is not going to be moved. It's a land purchase for right of first refusal. The selectmen put it on the warrant, but then decided they're not going to do it because there's no access. So it's going to be postponed indefinitely.
Now, the last Article 39, the soil removal bylaw. Did we take I can't remember if we took a vote on that one.
I wasn't here, so.
Yeah, that was I.
No, I don't think we did.
I know you had the colored copy. It's primarily, the bylaws that exist now refers to the soil board and the board of selectmen interchangeably. And that caused problems, even though the members of the soil board and the members of the board of the selectmen are the same. That caused problems with some legalities as far as appeals, etc. And so that is pretty much a housekeeping type thing that we went through, and where it referred to the soil board, it was the soil board. We took out the Board of Selectmen. There is also some clarification on a large operation definition, and then there is a clarification on and putting in a proper legal process for the consideration of waivers.
Is this the one they're totally rewriting from scratch?
Pardon?
Is this the one they're totally rewriting from scratch?
No.
Because there was one, so it must have been the stormwater one they were thinking.
The stormwater is the one that
Yeah, it's gone
they were
now.
dealing with what DEP and the feds wanted and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The major rewrite here is to actually put an enumerator process for when you consider waivers, how you do it, and the notice that has to be given and that type of thing, versus just having waivers.
Does it need an approval by us? It's not fiscally related, right? It's just, do we have to vote on it? Or-
I mean, typically, we
think we
mainly
can
make,
watch it when we do
we
this.
mainly
You
make
can
recommendations.
refer to town meeting.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I can, there are 10 sections to it. I have a copy here with me. I don't know if each of you have a copy, but I can take you through the changes, the errors and omissions by paragraph, if you'd like. Many are just punctuation changes, and some are changing the term Board of Selectmen, the board. You know, there
So it's
are many changes that are just, don't
Don't
This is
pertain
just-
to
this is
dollars.
administrative.
the
This has
overall
nothing to do
meeting,
with
but
the
there are
finance
a
committee.
few changes.
Yeah, so I don't think we actually have to make a recommendation on this then.
Because it doesn't involve any sort of.
So you could make a motion
Expenditure.
to refer to town meeting.
Because, does this article have any impact on what's going on Main Street with PJ?
I think the biggest change, which
I'm-
would
I'm-
probably,
well,
I'm foreclosed from commenting.
yeah, I won't say or can't say how it's gonna play out, but I think the biggest piece of it is the definition, or the addition and definition of a large-scale operation. And, you know, I can review that with you,
That's defined.
yes.
Yeah, it's administrative.
Yeah, so there's no specific financial bearing of this article and how it's gonna affect the town. Anyway, if there was, it's an unknown. We don't
Mhm.
know.
Right.
So I don't think, in the warrant, there shouldn't be a space for the finance committee recommendation on this one. I think we'll just,
If you take a motion to refer to town meeting, if someone asks at town meeting whether the finance committee determined that there was a financial impact, you can say the finance committee made a motion to refer the action to town meeting because of no financial impact, direct financial impact.
So you just need us to make a motion.
No, well, you can, and that way you're on record that way.
So I'll make the motion that it be referred to town meeting.
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, anyone opposed? Okay.
There will be, we're still drafting the motions with town council. There probably will be some determination of funding sources that will be in the motions. It's pretty much, as you've seen in the past, where how much, for example, the operating budget, how much comes out of taxation, how much comes out of state aid. et cetera, et cetera. But we have, those figures come tomorrow or at the latest Friday morning as we look at what's happening, because, for example, the Senate hasn't passed their budget, but the House did. And the governor did with the 700,000 in additional Chapter 78. So we're still going with the governor's figures right now. There have been no reductions of the governor's figures, but there are some minor changes with the House and the Senate.
Sorry, just
No, go ahead.
one thing. So the Senate has, the House has voted, the Senate hasn't. The governor's trying to lower tax rates because of the 48,000 residents who have left the state of Massachusetts in the last 2 years. Just something that I read that came through my desk earlier this week. So the exodus that we were worried about.
Yeah, so we're holding our estimates as far as revenues are holding to the governor's figures. Both the Senate and the House have higher numbers than the governor on unrestricted local aid. They both have the same numbers for Chapter 70.
All right, so I think we've covered all the articles that we needed to vote on. So that being said, since we still have Les Dakin here, our town moderator, as far as like the setup for the annual town meeting, I know we've discussed this in the past, like up on stage. The last couple of years, all of us have been down below at the table, sitting in front. There was talk of just having Sue and myself be up on stage with the rest of the group. What are your thoughts on that and how we should think about setting that up?
I definitely think the chairman and the vice chairman should be up there, but where I intend to recognize, if you will, the finance committee, they at least should be, in my opinion, in the front row so they could at least stand and be recognized.
Mm-hmm.
But
And we,
most towns,
Yeah.
in prior towns I've been at, has the chair and the vice chair of the finance committee on the stage to make the recommendations of this committee known to the town meeting.
I think we moved down to the front was during COVID because of just separation. So it was just,
That might have been part of it, yeah.
yeah, it just got tight.
And like Bob and I have done in the past, we would each alternate on reading the recommendations, so we'll do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as the motions are put to bed, they'll be put in print copy for the chair, the vice chair, but electronically they'll be sent to the committee. So it's not like we're gonna get them Monday morning like last year.
Okay.
I think we should probably.
they were testing my resistance to stress, yes.
I think we should probably have them pretty much all done by the meeting with town council.
Yeah, it's just fine
Tomorrow
tuning
morning.
tomorrow morning.
In person, so if he doesn't lock them down, the moderator can go after him.
We won't let him out of here.
All right, so I think we've covered everything we're gonna need to. Anybody have any old business to discuss?
Just real quick question, Mr. Kelly. I'm just curious. Well, how do we stand with like all the the planner for the town? Is it?
We have a number of applicants. I'd say we have 3 or 4 good resumes. And we've sent them a letter telling them that, thank you for applying. We are right now in the middle of triaging them. As soon as we get a vote at town meeting, then we'd bring 3 or 4 in for interviews. I've already discussed the interview process with the chair of the planning board, but I didn't think it was fair until we knew where town meeting was going.
Sure, sure.
But, and it's interesting, we have some that have very strong academic credentials, and we have a couple that are hands-on credentials. We have one that is presently he's in a planning department, but prior to that he was a surveyor. So it's a good mix, and then of course you have the
Obviously, once we get that person, then they're gonna work on the master plan and all these other issues that we.
yeah, and I've applied for more grant money from the state, not only for that effort, but some economic development monies that can all fold into it. So you also know we've got an earmark that went through the House for $80,000 for repairs down, including the roof down at the COA. The senator is fairly confident it will go through the Senate. We have talked to the appropriate authorities to sequester the previous earmarks we had for $25,000 for a transportation plan, $25,000 for the master plan. If we get the second grant on the master plan, the total would be $100,000 on for the master plan. That would take care of almost all of the survey work, public meeting work, and consultants as far as traffic counts, and our work as far as the economic development with the getting input from the business community.
Sure.
We also were talking to an individual from the Buzzards Bay NEC or NEP, where the selectmen voted for a stormwater grant in an area next to the river park for some stormwater mitigation, that instead of any matching funds, now the state it's 100%. They're fairly optimistic that we'll get it. That will also go as part of our contribution to complying with MS4. And so we've got a lot of work for that individual to do when he gets
lining up.
Or her.
Hit the ground running.
Yeah, we're teeing it up so that they won't have a chance to catch their breath for 6 months.
Hopefully they're not hearing this part.
Yeah, let's leave that.
Any applications coming in with regards to the library director position?
Hired.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh, excellent.
Yep.
okay, so that's
That's
good
under
news.
the auspices of the Board of Library Trustees.
Okay. That didn't take long.
Well, it's being offered as of today, I believe.
Yeah, they picked it yesterday's meeting. The former employee over there.
Okay, that's good. Anybody have any new business that they want to bring up? Anything new?
I just wanted to ask, because I hadn't been here in a bit, was what time do you want us all there Monday?
Well, the meeting starts at 7, on the dot. No exceptions, right, Mr. Dakin?
You know, as Bill Belichick says, on time is 15 minutes early.
That's right.
I think it's unfair, my own opinion, for the people that are there on time to wait for those who aren't there on time.
Agreed.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's-
and where it's a lengthy
Yeah.
warrant, at 7 o'clock, the gavel drops and we go ahead. You know,
Yeah.
if I keep, or we keep extending it and waiting, people will just continue to show up later and later and later.
Do we still have a quorum requirement of 75 or
Yes,
something?
we do.
Now, to answer your question, Pete, I would recommend that we get there no later than 6:30.
Sounds
We
good.
can meet in the library again.
No, we're not
We're not
gonna,
gonna meet.
we're not gonna have to
Okay.
meet, so we cleaned everything up tonight,
Yeah.
so we don't have to meet prior
Just
to
in
the
case
time.
something comes up.
I don't think anything's gonna come up.
If anything comes up, I've reserved for both this committee and/or the Board of Selectmen, if anything will come up, the superintendent's conference room.
Okay.
And just out of curiosity, are you planning on earmarking chairs in the front if that's where you want us to sit, or?
I'll talk to the town clerk and the logistics people.
He'll talk
I'll
to-
make sure
He'll
that
talk to his people.
Nick has a camera pointed right at you guys.
Nice table in the
Just
front,
saying.
so that way you can.
I've got a face made for
everyone.
radio.
So yeah, so on the stage, we're probably all gonna be a little bit closer than normal because you're gonna be adding 2 of us up there when we're not normally sitting up there. So that will have to get like factored in, I would imagine.
And also, so the board knows, I've entered discussion with an individual because Angela has left. She'll help with transition, and the interim treasurer collector are part consultant, and we've done the same arrangement with another woman who was in Norton and Mansfield and recently retired. And originally was here as assistant treasurer collector, and I hope she'll take the job. We're still in negotiations.
There's no escape.
No matter what they do, they keep bringing me back in.
Huh?
Nothing. I was quoting a Godfather line.
Yep.
We do have one set of minutes to approve from Kathy from March 14, 2023. I don't have the minutes in front of me, so I don't know who was present.
I have them here.
You have them there?
So,
See you tomorrow morning.
9:30.
in presence, attendance, Chairman Mr. Boucher, Vice Chair Susan Delgado, Peter Benoit, myself, Eric Chu, Robert Ferrer, and Robert St.
I
Jean.
just wanted
So we had a full complement of,
Yep.
to make sure. when-
Members-
Without
oh, you weren't there.
So it wasn't technically.
I can stop
Okay.
vigilant and vote.
You were so lacking that day.
Shame on you.
I enjoy having fun with it.
All right, do we have a motion to?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for March 14, 2023. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No one's opposed, so those minutes are approved. And that pretty much wraps things up. We've reached the finish line, folks. It's been
Motion
on.
to adjourn.
I'll second.
You're quick.
Hang on, I wasn't done speaking.
Done that.
You hungry or something? Yeah, so just, it's been a long process. I'm glad we finally reached the finish line. And thanks to everyone on our committee for, making the commitment to be here as often as we can. And hopefully, everybody continues to serve like we do, because I think we have some good continuity right now in our committee. We still have, we have one open seat, as far as I know. So hopefully we can fill that at some point. But it's been a good budget season, challenging as always, but we got there. So, Eric,
I think I put the motion out there. Motion.
we have a motion to adjourn.
And seconds.
We have a motion and second to adjourn our meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.